Sometimes I wonder if the world is more troubled now than at any other time in my life. And it's true that in recent years some national leaders have sown division purposely in their country so that it distracts us from what they're actually doing. But almost all of us want to live in peace. We want peace in our life. We want peace in our heart. There's a lot of people looking for peace, but not many are finding it. In fact, today, as I chat to people, it's almost a rarity to find somebody who is at peace. Yet for several years, people have commented to me that they feel that I have peace. A couple of people have also said that when they're with me, they feel peaceful. Generally, I don't feel that I'm any more peaceful than anyone else, but I do notice that some people that I know do get into very stressful situations quite often and therefore don't have peace. So over the years, almost by necessity, I've had to develop ways of keeping my personal inner peace. And it's really a lifestyle. It's not something I've thought about very much, but because people have commented on it, I've been thinking about it a bit more recently. For example, my other YouTube channel, which is called Walks and Wanders, which is basically just me going for a walk, people of all ages have said that they watch that because it's very calming. And I'm not sure if it's because I'm out in nature on that channel or these particular people find my voice calming. I don't really know. But it's interesting that peace seems to be the theme that people comment on. So today I thought I'd just share, kind of off the top of my head, some things I do. I'm aware that I do to keep my own peace and my own inner peace. I think some people think that having peace is a lack of outward drama and stress. Certainly that will probably help, but I've tried to develop a lifestyle and a way of living where peace is we're not kind of going in and out of it, but you've got an underlying level of peace at all times, even in drama situations. So if you're someone that has a lot of anxiety or stress or peace seems elusive, I just want to share a few things that I do. So I've split these ideas into three sections. The physical things that we can do, the mental things or things we can do with our mind, and the spiritual things. So the headings are sort of body, mind and spirit. What things can you do in those realms of life to bring you inner peace? So let's first of all think about the physical aspect of peace. When it comes to the physical aspect of finding peace in life, I want to split it into two sections. One is external and the other is internal. First of all, let's concentrate on the external. So what sort of things are happening in week by week in your life? If there's certain things that you go through each week or maybe even each day that cause a lot of stress and anxiety, you may need to address those things. So for example, if you're in a job or even if you volunteered for something and it's causing you a lot of stress and anxiety, we've really got to think about, do we want to keep putting ourselves into that environment? And if we have a very stressful job, we may even have to think about changing our job to something less stressful. But of course, stressful environments are not just connected to our employment. There may be something that happens each week that's just part of our life, and something that we do, something that we go through, and it causes a lot of anxiety and stress. That's just not going to bring peace. So the first thing is, externally, we need to look at, are the situations that we keep putting ourselves in that we need to remove ourselves from? And secondly, on the external, we need to look around, are we surrounding ourselves with drama queens? I can really not be doing with drama queens in my life. I mean, they're out there and they thrive on drama, and even if you help them solve a problem, it doesn't matter because they just look for the next drama and the next problem because that's what they thrive on. And I just find it too overwhelming and stressful to be around such people. So the friendships I build and grow don't include people that are drama queens. Now, if you've got a special friendship that you don't want to let go of, but the other person is always in a drama, you may just have to have a conversation with them to say that you really can't handle constant drama, and if that keeps happening, you're going to have to disconnect from them. Maybe it's something that they could change, but if not, you've really got to think about whether you want to be in a relationship that is just so stressful. So we also have to think about our environment, just what the things we do week by week, you know, the shopping and school runs and all sorts of stuff that we're just involved in, and they're part of our everyday life. But how do we offset those situations that maybe they're not terribly stressful, but they're not relaxing or peaceful either? So one of the reasons I like walking is going out into woodland has been proven to lower stress levels, slightly lower your blood pressure if it's high, and just bring peace. So walking in the woodland, in the green, in the nature, I mean, scientists have done tests and it's proven to bring calm. So if you don't already do that, it may be worth thinking, how close is your nearest bit of nature? Is there a big park or somewhere you could go and just be where things are green and there's trees and generally a bit more quiet? And if you put yourself into that environment several times a week, that's one step towards having more peace. The other place that's proven to bring calm is walking by the coast. So if you live not too far from the coast, we're about a 40-minute drive away here, but we often go and walk by the sea. Sometimes we drive a bit further to different parts of the coast, and we find those days when we just walk by the sea and spend some time at the beach, or even if we're not on the beach, you know, just by the coast, we find those days very sort of calming and relaxing. Okay, so that's some things we could do externally or with our environment, with our bodies, that can bring a little bit more peace. Now let's think more internally. So as we think about having peace internally in our bodies, physically, think about the phrase gut reaction. When we hear some news or something happens, we talk about we have a gut reaction. In other words, we feel something in our gut, and it either makes us anxious, suspicious, or whatever the feeling is. So it's interesting that our gut relates to how we feel physically. And of course that now brings us to what kind of food we're putting into our bodies. If we're putting regular amounts of caffeine, alcohol and refined sugar into our bodies, it's unlikely we're going to feel very peaceful. Caffeine is a stimulant, and too much of it can leave us feeling very anxious. Alcohol, on the other hand, is a depressant, and that can leave us feeling very down and lacking peace. And too much refined sugar does horrible things to our bodies, and that really isn't going to lead us into peace. So if you eat a load of processed and highly processed food, there's all sorts of additives in there. Great for shelf life and great for the people that are selling it, but it's not really great for your body. So one of the things I try to do is eat things that are made from fresh fruit, vegetables, fresh meat, so that I prepare the meal and it's not all been processed in a factory. And in the world in which we live, that's difficult to always do that. So I use the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time I try to focus on the good stuff and eat the good stuff, and 20% of the time I allow some treats that may be processed food or cakes or biscuits or something that are really not good for you, but I limit that to 20% of my intake. So I think one of my favourite ways is I start the day with a smoothie, and I put all sorts of stuff in the smoothie that I know is good for the body. So I put in there some watermelon, half a beetroot, a small tomato, some strawberries, some raspberries, a banana, maybe some apple, something like that, a little bit of ginger. And then I add some extra virgin olive oil, just a tablespoonful, and also some milled crushed nuts, mixed nuts in there. And I put oat milk in there, blend it all up, and that's my morning smoothie. There's a lot of good stuff in there, and it's all natural. It's not come in a plastic bag. So that gives the body a lot of good stuff, and that gets what I call the happy chappies going around your bloodstream. And that in itself not necessarily brings peace, but it eases the stress on your body, because you're giving your body lots of the ingredients it needs to maintain itself. Then of course the old thing about drink lots of water, it's a different level for each person, but basically probably drink more water than you're drinking. Stick a slice of lemon in, something like that, just to give it a bit of flavour. But just, drink more water, because your body really needs water to process everything. And where possible, prepare your own meals at home with fresh ingredients, and you just eliminate a lot of chemicals that are in processed food, and that can bring a level of calm to your body. And then the next thing on the physical thing, which is both external and internal, is exercise. So try and walk for at least half an hour a day if you're able. Longer if possible. The longer you walk, the better. But don't overdo it, don't strain yourself. But just try and get your heart rate up a bit by going for a walk for up to an hour a day if possible. And if necessary, you can split that into two. So for example, you can walk into town to the shops if you're in walking distance, and then walk back, and you might have sort of 2 half-hour walks there. You don't have to make a big thing of it. Or you could go walk in nature, as I said before, and just get your heart rate up a little bit if you're not ill or on medication, and that's safe to do so, obviously. The second thing is to do some exercises. These can be stretches, may involve some light weightlifting, something like that. And you don't need to buy a load of equipment. Just get a couple of tin of beans out the kitchen cupboard or something and use those as weights. That's absolutely fine. And what should you do with them? What are the exercises? Well, I mean, just go on YouTube and YouTube exercises for whatever. Are you over 50? Just look in the YouTube search for exercises for the over 50. There's loads of people and lots of professional trainers on YouTube, and you can find a little routine, or you can take part of the routine and do that yourself. You don't need an expensive gym membership. So that's a few things you can do physically, and all those things will kind of lower stress levels and bring a level of calm physically by looking after your body. So the second area is in our mind. So one of the problems for a lot of people is they don't sleep too well because there's things going over and over in the mind. Again, it's a result of stuff going on in their life, and they're trying to go to bed at night. They may be exhausted, but their mind just turns things over and over and over and over again. So the mind is very like your physical muscles. So if you start an exercise, or if you did join a gym, when you start, your abilities may be quite limited, but you can build up muscle by regular exercise. And controlling your mind is quite similar in that, just like a gym exercise where you build strength and then your ability increases to do bigger things than when you started. So when you do some mind exercises, you'll find you can control your mind much more than you could when you first started. So this is something I used to suffer a lot from. So if there was stressful stuff going on in the day that was unresolved, trying to get to sleep at night was an absolute nightmare. In fact, a nightmare may have been preferable than not sleeping. But anyway, I've learnt to kind of control my mind. So if I wake up in the night now and I'm worried about some situation that needs to be resolved, I ask myself the question, can I do anything about that thing right now? If it's 3 o'clock in the morning, can I make a phone call to try and resolve that? Can I do something? Can I meet someone? And the answer is no, because 3 o'clock in the morning, everyone's in bed asleep. So if I can't do something about it then, I sort of tell my mind that I'll think about it in the morning, in the daylight hours. And I've built up that muscle, and so that can bring calm. The second thing we can do with our minds is teach it meditation. And again, you can find lots of exercises, probably on YouTube and other places. But basically, you just begin very simply by finding a place where you can be silent and still, get yourself comfortable, sit in a chair, but don't slump down, set up erect with your feet on the floor, your hands in your lap, and close your eyes, and then begin by listening to your breathing, and then just count your breaths up to 10. So 1 is in, 2 is out, 3 is in, 4 is out, and just slow your breathing down, take deeper breaths, and silently in your mind count the breaths. Then when you get to 10, begin to count from 1 again, and do that and just focus on that. And what that does is bring you into the present moment, because our mind is always either wanting to race off to the future of something that might happen, or they want to go over regrets of the past or things in the past that we wish hadn't happened. But in actual fact, we can't do anything about the past, and we don't know if we've got the future. So all we've really got is now, this moment now. So we can just listen to our breathing. And then if you're a person of faith, so for me, as a follower of Jesus, I would kind of repeat the name of Jesus. I do that because in the scriptures, one of the names of Jesus is the Prince of Peace. So if he's the Prince of Peace, or the King of Peace is the other one. So if he's the King of Peace, then he's a guy that knows about peace, and he spoke a lot about peace. So I kind of focus on that, and I don't think about his teaching or anything like that, just the name, to bring that Prince of Peace, that King of Peace, closer to my centre, closer to my heart. So you can do that, or you can just use the number method, count up to 10. But what you're doing is focusing right now on the moment and on your body. And as we just focus on the now moment and on our body, on our breathing, and how we feel right now, or what's happening with our breathing right now, that does bring a level of calm. Obviously, there's a lot more to sort of calm and meditation and contemplative prayer than that, but that's a good starting point. And then the other thing is to make a decision about what you're going to think about. So if I tell you right now not to think of a white polar bear, you've just thought of a white polar bear. Now you, when you got up this morning, probably weren't going to think of a white polar bear, but you thought of a white polar bear because I keep saying white polar bear. So in a way, I've already affected your thinking, and I'm not even you. So if I can affect your thinking and what you're thinking about, you've got much more power to do that. So just as I mentioned a white polar bear again, and you thought about a white polar bear, so we could think of other things. So if you've got trouble in thoughts in your mind, begin to say something else, not white polar bear, it's not very inspiring, but begin to think of a good time in your life. Begin to think of someone or somewhere or something that always brings you peace, and just daydream about those things. And if your mind keeps going back to the stressful thing, just keep putting it back there. Use that example of whatever it is that brings you calm and peace. Just speak that out and bring your mind back. It won't be easy at first because your mind's just had free rein, but as you train your mind to come back to the thing that you are speaking out, over time that muscle will get stronger and you'll be able to control your thoughts and stop worrying so much. Thirdly, we come to the spiritual, and there's lots of different spiritual practices, different faiths, different beliefs. And most of them, if not all of them, have an aspect of bringing peace and calming. So for me, as someone that follows the teachings of Jesus, I would focus perhaps on something he said, some word he talked about. He could give a peace that the world doesn't give. So he's talking about a supernatural peace that doesn't depend on outward circumstances. So this is like a step up from doing things ourselves. And as I meditate on that, I just find that a deeper peace comes that indeed isn't influenced by external circumstances. So those are three areas of your life to think about: the body, the mind, and the spirit. But I want to leave you with like a bonus point. So for years when I was younger, one of the ways I thought I could bring about peace was trying to control everything. So I was always looking ahead to look out for disasters or possible trouble. And I think therapists would call this, in a way, it's catastrophizing. So you're looking for trouble all the time, and whatever situation in, you're looking at the worst case scenario that could happen. And I thought I was doing that really so that I could avoid trouble and therefore have a more peaceful life. But I want to tell you, trying to control everything in your life not only is futile, because actually we have very little control of what happens in life. Not only is it futile, but it's absolutely exhausting. So in a way, we have to kind of embrace the riskiness of life and go with the flow. So that's a challenge. But anyway, I hope some of those things help. Leave a comment in the comment section below for your tips. Maybe you've got a tip that's brought you personal peace, or some exercise that you do, either physically, mentally, or spiritually, and that brings you a deep peace. Let's share thoughts together, and then hopefully we can all find more peace in life. But for now, I just want to say peace be with you, upon you, around you, within you. Just receive peace, and I hope you have a peaceful week, a peaceful day, and a peaceful rest of the life, and develop some of the skills that even in difficult times will bring you peace. Thanks for watching today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notifications of new videos, and let's talk again soon.